This is a completely new lineup, new startups, new concept. I want to welcome in particular our ILP member companies who have joined us, many of them from this two-day event on the MIT ICT conference. Also special welcome to all MIT faculty in the room. We have at least one of them, Jean Ross, is on one of the panels, and she will be speaking to us later. And thirdly, all the MIT connected startups that are going to be part of the program, and anybody else in the audience, special welcome. So with that, I think I have signaled what the target audience and what the focus is of the overall STEX initiative, which is a partnership program to connect MIT's innovation activity to industry and to startups, and in all those possible ways that those things can be connected. Today, I wanted to very quickly go through some ideas around why we are gathered around Fintech factory and into the field. And it's centered around this idea that I think the way that we read the startup innovation landscape and the startups working on lots of exciting technologies out of MIT right now, we are sort of at a crossroads in enterprise IT. Well, this workshop and an event, we are here to explore that, so no conclusions yet, but we are putting this on to discuss what is going on. And there are many, many keywords, many arguments about what this really is about. Industrial Internet of Things is a buzzword. Ambient intelligence, we heard about this morning. Clearly, sensor networks and automation is fueling a lot of these developments, so the merging of previously unconnected technologies of hardware and software is fueling some very new and interesting developments that I think we are exploring here at MIT. There's also trends in sort of bio-aware computing and connecting computers in a certain sense directly to ourselves, whether it is through wearables or indeed inside or on our bodies. And lastly, some of us were fortunate enough to hear Neil Gershenfeld today speak about digital fabrication and all of those consequences that lead from the fact that perhaps it is indeed the very fabric of computing that we are reshaping right now. And some of those things have consequences already for our day-to-day lives. We have some startups here with exciting developments in those areas. And I think what we are exploring today has to do with two things, users and use cases. It's not just that the technology is changing, it's actually the way and the things that we can do with the technology, and a very, very succinct focus on who are we trying to change the reality for. So, the first generation of enterprise IT arguably was some blend of, an executive tool for oversight and some productivity tool for middle managers. There's still some of that perhaps in this new generation. We will see throughout the day. But arguably it's about larger things than that. There's a term here, engineerization of the world, which obviously would be nice for MIT if that's true. So can everything be engineered? What does that really mean? Is that a complete new, different reality? What does it mean for doctoring, for making insurance policies, if everything now can be engineered in a very advanced way? In a very real sense, perhaps everything becomes engineering. What does that mean? So that has a very real consequence. And the use cases are exploding. We're talking about intelligent interfaces, but previously those were, constrained to a few different areas. I think today you will see that the use cases are exploding. We're talking about intelligent ways to design a lot of different things. On the customer side, an omni-channel view, but perhaps also of our own organization, and perhaps even an omni-channel view of the entire world, or certainly the environment that we are acting in. So it's about knowledge at your fingertips much more than it is about looking down, into our desktop computers. And lastly, I just wanted to signal this trend that we are all seeing in some form today, and I think it was Mark Andreessen who coined this term, liquidization of resources. So you could see it from this angle of 24/7 society, but certainly it is this idea of resources on demand. If you have a resource, don't let it stay idle. Make use of it, rent it out, whether it is hotels, transportation, whatever it is that you have as a resource. And at MIT, we have a lot of physical infrastructure, and you'll hear one startup that has some thoughts about that, how you can rent and use scientific equipment in a much more efficient way. So I think I have not exhausted some of the opportunity. I think I've just signaled some of the things that we will hear today. And with that, it is my very big pleasure, I think, first to just signal that we had 83 startups that we have been tracking out of MIT over the last year. So some of what I'm talking about now is coming out of our analysis of what went on in those 83 startups, whether it is in the manufacturing side, whether it is on the analytics side, or indeed in this very important area of health where we have a tremendous amount of innovation right now in a field that arguably was going pretty slowly in the past decade, but that's certainly not going to be the case now. Most of you here who are startups, and some of you who are corporations, know that we have this facility on our website to, for now, if you are a member company, you can list opportunities, and we will basically let startups apply for those opportunities. Here are some of them that are open right now. You can see they span all kinds of fields. They're all somewhat technology-based, but these are all opportunities from real-life companies that are interested in connecting with a startup. And we are constantly trying to perfect that process. It is a very, very complex thing to do, as you might imagine. Large company meets small company. There is some tension there. We are trying to make that process better. We will take any advice from you on how we can turn that into a process. As of today, I can make a pretty confident statement. The existing situation is not ideal. I think big company, small company, there are some communication issues that we are trying to work through. We're hoping to become a best practice. We are not yet. Our biggest cluster of startups broadly is in ICT, but we have startups at MIT in virtually every technology area. When it works really well, there is partnership happening between our large company and the startup. This happened several times last year with Henkel and with Dropwise. I don't think they are in the room. Lastly, before I'm going to be introducing our first speaker, the next 3 events we have coming up are all very, very exciting. So we have a tremendous amount of startups going on in the water area. So that's next week's event. Similarly, 2-3 weeks from now, maybe, we have an event on intelligent mobility. Seems to be, apart from the buzzword on the Internet of Things, driverless cars has gotten an enormous amount of press recently. And not without reason, MIT has been part of that buzz. There are several new startups. I have Ryan Chin there. We're going to have a fireside chat about why he left the Media Lab to start a driverless car startup. That is a kind of astonishing move for anybody who knows the Media Lab. It's a very, very interesting situation. So could there be a thing that's even more exciting than working at the Media Lab? Perplexing thought. Lastly, in June, we have our robotics and automation and probably a bioanalytics focus. That's going to be in San Diego, very graciously hosted by Qualcomm. I don't think Rod is here yet. He might be a little later. But Qualcomm is in this very interesting position of being an MIT spin-out that has done amazingly well for themselves. They have then given back to MIT in many-fold, and they have many professorships here. They have invested in campus. They are also an ILP member company. And now they are following suit from Samsung that hosted our first off-campus startup exchange event in January in Silicon Valley. And Qualcomm would be the second company to generously host our startups and our innovative entrepreneurial faculty. And this is going to go down in June. And we hope that is just the beginning of a series of events, global events, starting with California, which for us on the East Coast is a country of its own. But we hope to actually make it out of the US in the fall to London. We might even make it to China and to some of the other very established places where ILP already has industry conferences, but we're now bringing startups as a very core element there.